as we know, it's just we enter every year and it's like, is this the Ravens' time? Is this Lamar Jackson's turn? Can they get past the Chiefs and all of these other, stalwarts of the AFC? But it's always really about Kansas City when we're talking Baltimore.
This potentially, Adam, as I send it back to you, potentially is a game changer in that you get a very talented quarter at a discount price.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We are seeing unbelievable temperature surges over the past couple days. So I wanted to ask you this question to let the people know, how do we account for that in our handicapping? Two good pitchers on the mound, but you look at a place like Wrigley Field, let's just say, 20-mile-an-hour winds blowing out, 90-plus degree temperatures. Is it almost like you say to yourself, you just have to fade the environment and not worry about the pitchers? Because if we're hitting fly balls, they're going yard.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter and this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scott, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen.
I say this all the time. Don't worry about the first 5 innings. Don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games. Because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
It's the summer months here. It's hour number 2. It is a Friday. We are getting you ready for the weekend. It's the Early Line, SportsGrid Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. It's Donnie right side. It's Joe Ranieri. Love some of these topics that come down because sometimes you just have to laugh. Okay, statues going around. We've seen bad statues around different ballparks. And also, why did that guy actually get a statue? I'm not surprised that he, talking about Barry Bonds, is getting a statue in San Francisco. But let me get this quick point out to you as well. Eventually does Barry Bonds make his way into the Hall of Fame? Eventually?
Listen, this annoys me more than anything in the world, Donnie. The fact that the greatest hitter in the history of Major League Baseball in 200 years is not in the place that is supposed to tell the history of baseball is the most absurd thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. Anybody that's ever grew up in that era and watched Barry Bonds play, Aaron Judge isn't a pimple on his you-know-what there, Donnie, and it's not, and you think that he's great. Guy was absolutely unbelievable, and he can't sniff the Hall of Fame because, I don't know, why again, Donnie? Why is it not? What did they prove? What is he guilty of?
Yeah, and also he was never suspended. Everybody knows, the cream in the clear, what he was doing, but he was never suspended. Isn't that the byline? Hey, if you have a felony, you can't get a certain job. It was well, I never had a felony. Well, didn't you get arrested? Yeah, but the charges were dropped. So what? We don't care about that. It has to go on your record at some point. And I think the key for you, as what you're saying, is right. The Hall of Fame is the story of baseball. What is wrong with putting his plaque in there, putting him in, and you can have a byline on that plaque? Hey, it was during the steroid era. There were thoughts that he might be you know what I mean? You can have that there and still have people in the Hall of Fame because of what they did on the baseball field. But it is what it is at that point, and away you go. Yep. Statues around stadiums, Joe. Maybe there's one going to be in Cincinnati eventually for Joe Burrow. But how about this? And here's what I love about this as well. The Adam Schefter tweet comes out. A Bengals and Hamilton County have agreed to a new deal to modernize Paycor Stadium and keep the Bengals in downtown Cincinnati through June of 2036. Now, the one thing I always love is I never hear the county, Joe, come to you down there. I don't know, let's just say Miami-Dade County. Hey, Joe, it'd be great. Love where you live. what do you say? You put up 25 grand, we'll put up 100 grand. We'll fix up the place a little bit for you. And you're like, hey, man, that sounds like a great deal at this point. Only in professional sports do the owners of a stadium that is owned basically by the community, where the owner gets more money than what he pays out to upgrade the stadium. But in typical Bengals fashion, this was supposed to be, Joe, like an $800 million renovation that somehow got knocked down to $340 million, probably because the Bengals go, well, wait, if you give us like $500 million, that means we still have to come up with $300 million. We're not doing that. We'd like to come up with $100 million. The county goes, good, but we're not giving up that money either. So the Bengals once again go cheap on their stadium. Can't make it and make sense to me. I can't.
Not a shock at all, given the Brown family and this organization and how ridiculous cheap they are. And maybe the best part is, so you got a $470 million renovation, of which the county is going to pay $350 million. Oh, and the NFL is going to toss in $120 million. So exactly what are they paying, Donnie, at this point?
Do you remember? Because I always love the old conversations that you go back, because there's a batch of small market teams that every time the new CBA comes up, they sort of band together and say, it's not fair. We don't make as much. Now, understand this. The NFL is one of the first leagues where, like, God bless, like the Mara family came in and goes, I could rule this entire league with an iron fist and take more money than everybody, but that's not for the good of the league. So Green Bay still stands because of what 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, the Mara family said. We must contribute to everybody's pool. It's why the Pittsburgh Steelers have a very good team, not on the verge of bankruptcy, because everybody goes in the same pool. And it's the same thing with the Cincinnati Bengals. But I always remember the fact where Jerry Jones would get so angry at the Bengals because the Bengals would cry poor. We can't afford this. We can't pay these salaries. And then Jerry Jones would go, you know, the name of my stadium is basically like AT&T Stadium. Like, I'm selling partnerships all over the place so I can make my team more affable, more affordable, and more liquid with cash. And then the Bengals were like, well, my dad's on the name on the stadium. I'm never selling that. And I remember Jerry Jones telling him point blank, give me a chance to sell the naming rights to your stadium and sit over there and be quiet. Like, it's just a matter. And eventually, do you know why it's Paycor Stadium now? Can you take a guess of why it is? Why they finally said, oh, look, we'll sell Dad's name off the stadium? Because they couldn't afford the Joe Burrow contract coming up. So they had to sell the stadium rights here to start to make money for that. It's so backwards the way they are. And I always say this again with the Bengals fans who might be watching out there. I feel bad for you as a fan base, because all NFL fans want is a legitimate chance. There are billionaires and trillionaires out there that would buy that team in the drop of a hat. Like you see, like, let's just say, you know, Uncle Steve for the New York Mets or Ballmer for the LA Clippers would just come and be like, I'm going to run this as just because it's fun. We're going to max everything out and have greatness. And all you have to worry about is my family works for the team and they're not going to spend here for us. So again, I feel bad for the Bengals. And it's just seeing about this stadium deal goes right into it. Like, hey, it was supposed to be $800 million. Well, why not? Probably because the Bengals didn't want to chip in their share to make that an absolute state-of-the-art stadium.
Yeah, well, and the other thing too is prior to this, they never had. It was only one or two big concerts that people would go to that would be booked there. It was always predominantly just used for football. But now I think part of this deal is that you can expect a whole lot more uses in that stadium now that the county is ponying up $350 million. They're going to get their money's worth, which means a whole lot of Taylor Swift concerts coming to town.
Yep. By the way, you bring up such a good point, too, because like even in Philadelphia, Jeffrey Lurie, who's a great owner here, the stadium is, again, hey, it's 20 years old. Oh, my goodness. It's, you know, we got to build a new one. The link is beautiful, but the fact that everybody talks about domes is not necessarily because, oh, the fans like a dome because it's warmer weather. It's that dome can be put in use 12 months out of the year. You have a cold weather city with, like Taylor Swift isn't doing Cincinnati in February as a concert. If there's a dome stadium, Taylor Swift can do February concerts in Cincinnati just like everybody else. So that's always up on the agenda as well. They're not going to put a roof on that, but just food for thought on most of these teams now trying to go for those dome stadiums. Let's keep it in the NFL. Not a dome stadium down in Baltimore, but the NFL suspending Justin Tucker 10 weeks for the upcoming season. He's not on a team. And Joe, quite frankly, this says he will never be on a team again. Because if you are a ultra-talented player who could have been the best kicker in NFL history. And I'm going to tell you right now, Joe, if Justin Tucker the last 2 years was hitting 98% of his kicks like it felt like he was, they'd be on a podium going like, unfounded issues, not convicted in the court of law. We disagree with the 10 games. We stand by Justin Tucker. But the simple fact is now he's not as good a kicker as he was. They cut him because the NFL told him, hey, we're going to drop a suspension. Oh, we will never stand for this in our organization ever again. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just an unfortunate situation all the way around. Because again, none of these accusations happened a year ago, Donnie, or anything along those lines. This happened when he first got into the league, and why was it tolerated then is beyond me, and how he was even able to continue to have that kind of career in the NFL is also mind blowing. But he still is saying, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't. There is no admission of anything from him. And yet the NFL is saying, yeah, we looked into it. 10 games. We're going to suspend you. Where there is smoke, Donnie, there is a whole lot of fire here.
There is. And by the way, like Justin Tucker, who, the stuff that's coming out of the allegations, very much like we saw from the allegations from Deshaun Watson. And Watson was, do you imagine like when that news broke on Watson, like what Justin Tucker was thinking in the back of his head, like, oh my goodness. Eventually, this is going to catch up to me. It's like if you have a worker, it's like, hey, I work in a food processing plant. Like, hey, man, I take 3 to 6 steaks every single day. They don't know about it. Hey, Dave got pinched for the 3 to 6 steaks. You're like, well, I've been doing the same thing. You know your time is coming sooner than later at that point here. So he probably was made. Do you think, by the way, it was weighing on him while he was out on the football field? Like he couldn't prepare? Like sooner than later, a news story is going to drop that somebody's going to be after me and suing me, and my career is going to be in peril.
Was one of the worst seasons he had was last year. So you got to wonder how much was that way. He knew it was coming, but he had to know it was coming at some point.
My goodness. Yeah, he's out. I don't anticipate. And that was a guy that's probably on a trajectory to the Hall of Fame, up in smoke. There's no shot that Justin Tucker will ever be eligible, it feels like, for the Hall of Fame now. Major League Baseball, it's the summer months. Where do the division standings stand? We'll find out next.
What do you make of this price tag here, reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark?
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go with Cam Young at 30-1. I think it's a really nice course for him at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit, Michigan for him. Wyndham Clark at 36-1. And I also like Alex Noren at 60-1.
My Morency drunken Brit dart toss golf pick, which does win like 2-3 times a year, guys. Insanely enough. But I'm going to say Matt Fitzpatrick.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all. It's
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the #1 player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score at all 3 levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We told you sometimes the NBA is wild off the court when they're not playing. I mean, heck, we got a report this morning from Evan Sidery that said Ace Bailey might not even show up to Utah at this point. Like, oh, here we go. Oh, that'll be enough for a Friday in the news cycle. And an hour later, the Toronto Raptors general manager, Masai Ujiri, is out as vice chairman and president in Toronto. Joe, this guy was once thought to be like the Prince GM of the NBA with the brightest future that everybody wanted. But in the NBA, as we know in professional sports, what have you done for me lately? He's out of a job in Toronto.
Yeah, kind of crazy, but this is one of the most respected names in the game in the NBA, and kind of hard to believe. I mean, he could have left after that championship and run there in Toronto. Man, there were teams willing to throw all sorts of money and power at him, and he stayed in Toronto. And listen, they've been very active. I thought they had a very good draft. They've put a whole lot of guys around Scotty Barnes. I mean, they've made some really good moves, and free agency is a couple of days away, and their name has come up in a lot of spots. So now for him to be out, very interesting move by Toronto. Dare I say there's more to this story, Donnie, than just him going, yeah, I'm good. It's time for me to step down.
It has to be, because, again, it's not like you say, like, hey, in the illustrious history of the Toronto Raptors, like, yes, they have good teams, but he brought them a championship by making that move to get Kawhi Leonard. Now, Kawhi, we joked over the break, like Kawhi Leonard leaving Toronto after a championship run where he could have just been the Prince of Canada for the rest of his life because Uncle Roger or whatever wanted him to go to Southern California, be back home, was one of the more wild stories that you will find. But the fact of the matter is, like, Masai Ujiri will get a job in the snap of a finger. But I think it's interesting that you bring up that point is we must not, it can't be like the NBA is never about money with very good general managers. Like you can't, those guys are worth their weight in gold. It had to be something where it can't be a power struggle. It's like, hey, well, ownership wants you to drop down to just being a GM. Like we must know something where he just disliked the ownership group where they couldn't be in the same room. And again, 1 year left on his deal. It's like, okay, we'll just cut you short at this point. It's just something is not adding up. What do you think could be the process? Like more power? How much more power can he even have in that organization, Joe?
You're the president, and there was they handed you the keys to the organization, is what they did. So something is going on. But let's face it, he will, with his resume and how respected he is, he will be unemployed for, well, as long as he wants to be unemployed, because I can promise you, are the Mavs going, Nico Harrison, see you later, and let's bring in Masai Ujiri? One never knows, but the bottom line is that the minute a executive spot opens up, I can promise you he will, if he wants the job, it's all his in another organization.
And by the way, entering into the final year of his contract, which means if he was let go, he gets that rest of the contract for a year. What do you say, Joe Neri? He sits the year out, the Lakers flame out, and Masai Ujiri with those new big money owners for the Los Angeles Lakers and Luka Doncic and a chance to rebuild around an aging LeBron James who's probably out the door. There are many options that could be real intriguing. Also, probably a pretty good guy for TV. How many times do we see that? Hey, let me go on TV, hit my brand, and next year I'll have my choice of every single team here to get ready and get after. So Masai Ujiri out of a job in Toronto, won't be for long, as we said. Let's transition back over to baseball. And by the way, that's why we love doing a live show. When these topics come up right away, we hit them right off the cuff and sort of shoot those out to here with some insights and inputs on those. And one of the bigger stories you'll probably see today. Who knows, Joe? Hour number 3 might have another big story. But the stories we're talking about now, Major League Baseball, it's the summer, it's the heat. We're almost getting close to that midway checkpoint of where these teams are going to wind up. And we're going to start out there in the AL West. And we talked about the Astros already today, hammering the Philadelphia Phillies, 3-game sweep, looking good now at a 48-33 clip on the season. Now 6.5 games better than the Seattle Mariners, 7.5 better than the Angels, 8 better than the Rangers, and 16 games better than the Athletics. It's almost like if you weren't paying attention, oh, the Astros, well, okay, they're up 6.5 games again. It's just what this team does, man. And Alvarez coming back to that lineup, this could be a buy-on team the rest of the way, Joe.
Yeah, listen, it wouldn't shock anybody, right? I mean, my goodness now. The Astros, look at that. Mariners, Rangers, Angels, and Athletics. Who else do we trust? The Astros have obviously, and again, doing it without their best hitter, and yet here they find themselves now at almost a minus 500 price. I don't trust I know this, the Mariners won't make any moves by the trade deadline to make themselves better and make a run. The Rangers, I still hold out a little bit of hope for them, But my goodness, they are just floundering as well. But at 11-1, that's not a bad price, Donnie. But the Astros, something would have to go hard left for this team not to be in the conversation come the end of August, beginning of September to win the West.
You're right about that, too, because so many, for the first part of the Major League Baseball season, like Houston felt like they couldn't hit their way out of a paper bag. It's like, oh, man, this is a bad baseball team. It's just not there. There's just start to come into their own. It's like, all right, now they're playing good baseball. And I think you also hit the nail on the head. Like the Seattle Mariners, the one thing we never worry about is they have good starting pitching. And now it's always injured at times. But it's like, hey, for a while, the Mariners were hitting at the plate. And that could be a boom because they never do that. You have a catcher in Cal Raleigh who's on pace, let's just say, to hit 60 home runs. And they're still 6.5 games back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the Astros haven't been playing great baseball, but here they are getting good pitching now, and the hitting is starting to appear. The Mariners, like, oh, they have to heat up. What does that mean? Their catcher has 80 home runs to try to chase them down, and then there's no pedigree on the Angels. Mike Trout's probably going to be dealt at the trade deadline, and whoever knows else. The Rangers, they have the talent, but just can't seem to find anything. And then there's the A's. So I'm with you there. Like, I don't trust any other team to climb up a 6.5 gap or more and overtake the Astros the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about an organization that went, 2022, 106 wins. Then they had 90 wins. Then they had 88 wins last year. Yeah. And now they're on the mark again, on the way up. And with no Alvarez and Altuve really hitting, $150 until about the middle of May. So unbelievable job once again with this organization. And, they'll be there when it's all said and done. I promise you.
Yep, they'll make moves, no doubt about it. They'll probably be in the forefront. And again, they're used to winning in the playoffs here. We'll get to the NL West next. Before you can blink, the Dodgers on another win streak. Here we go.
Playing online blackjack and want to try upping your odds? Well, here's a tip. Cheat cards tell you statistics for whether you hit or stand on every move. If you're into stats, this could be your ticket to winning. And it is totally legal. Now, go get lucky. See you in Lost Pages. Let's get lucky.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Remember those fun times, Joe Ranieri? look at that. Within a game or two of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Dodgers aren't playing well. Well, the Dodgers have a 4-game win streak, winners of 8 out of the last 10 games. And how about this, Joe? A 6-game lead now over the San Diego Padres, a 6.5-game lead over the San Francisco Giants, 9 over the Diamondbacks, and 32.5 games above the Colorado Rockies. The Los Angeles Dodgers, the price point is crazy, but I don't think we've ever thought really during the season, even was one game, like, hey, they're going to be overtaken. The Dodgers just do way too many things too well with that payroll, and now have extended their lead in the West to 6 games.
Yeah, and now they get to slow play Ohtani on the mound. They can work him back in, get him ready for a postseason run. But listen, it's not like they've played the easiest schedule either. I think it ranks as one of the number 1 or number 2 toughest schedules so far this season, and they're doing it because they're absolutely crushing the ball with that lineup. And listen, you get Kershaw back looking like old Kershaw here. Reinforcements are coming back for the Dodgers, but they keep hitting the way they do. Yeah, it should not be an issue for the Dodgers not only winning the West, but once again being the favorite to repeat as champions.
By the way, are we eligible? Like, are we talking about like the Padres and the Giants as probably the best chance to get the wild card there? Because we have really good teams across Major League Baseball and the National League that are really going to be like the Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Mets. Probably, obviously, one's going to win the division, one's going to be a wild card. But then you have teams there in the Central, like the Brewers are playing great baseball. St. Louis is hanging around. The Cubs are going to be in the playoffs because they'll probably win that division. Are we going to get 2 teams like we thought possibly out of the NOS as the wild card, or are we just down to 1 team now? And somebody better be the Padres or the Giants, start playing some really good baseball.
They are, but that road, you think the Mets got problems. Yeah. I mean, Michael King is out. Yeah. He's got a shoulder issue. Darvish, when is he ever showing up again? Musgrove is already gone for the year with Tommy John surgery. And Dylan Cease looks like a shell of himself. Good bullpen, but are we trusting the Padres to catch? No. Catch the Dodgers, and the Giants can't hit. Devers aside, they still can't hit. And don't trust them. Great bullpen, some quality frontline rotation guys, but that's it. I can't trust the Giants either.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible there. Again, the Dodgers' expectations were, championship or bust. They're right back on those expectations with this latest win streak they have. Let's flip it over to the American League, and we'll take a look at the East there. The New York Yankees in first place by only a half game. Yanks are 46-34, not playing their best baseball as of late, which has allowed the Tampa Bay Rays here just to climb back up in the standings and a half game back. We need multiple 30 for 30s on how the Rays can operate in this fashion with players on a year-to-year basis that you really don't know about that turn into good ball players, pitchers that they lose year in, year out, bullpen guys year in, year out, and yet here they are again vying for the East with guys like the Orioles will pay money for the payroll. The Sox, even though they just traded one of their players away, they have a nice payroll. The Blue Jays play their guys. The Yankees with a massive payroll. And then here are the Rays. And we were thought to believe also, Joe, well, the Rays can't compete if they don't have that ridiculous ballpark where nobody can hit the baseball in. They're outdoors in the heat and humidity and still winning baseball games. Are they worth a plus 320 price to maybe take down the Yanks in the AL East?
Well, I mean, let's great job, Rays, but let's pump the brakes here because of the fact that they play at the Yankees minor league stadium. Major League Baseball has put an extremely favorable schedule together for the Rays here. Let's see what they do in the second half when all of a sudden they're going to have to play 50 of their 51 of their remaining 82 games on the road. I mean, right now they've played 50 of their first 80 games here at home. That's going to change in the second half. Let's see how good they are when the schedule doesn't exactly favor them like it has thus far.
Yeah, it's incredible to watch it play out and how good they are on a year-to-year basis, just like the organization, the way it's run, and also the organization is up for sale. It's like, turmoil in the organization. Like, no, they're still good. Like, we watch like turmoil with the A's. Like, we just stink. We bottom out every single year. And it's not the case with the Rays. It's just a matter of if you just have an unbelievable front office that makes the right draft picks here and trades players and lets players go at the right time, that's what you get in the Rays. But it's such a fine, a fine needle that you just have to thread. It's like, man, they do it every year. It seems like the Toronto Blue Jays, 5-5 in their last 10, only 3 games. Like the Blue Jays are only 3 games back. It feels like we haven't even talked about them at all this season. Like, oh, they need to get it together. So many interesting things going down in the AL East. It'll be a fun division to watch the rest of the way. And also, those Baltimore Orioles, are they traders at the deadline as opposed to buyers? Because their season has been terrible, people. More baseball divisional talk next on the early line.
As we know, it's just we enter every year and it's like, is this the Ravens' time? Is this Lamar Jackson's turn? Can they get past the Chiefs and all of these other, stalwarts of the AFC? But it's always really about Kansas City when we're talking Baltimore.
This potentially, Adam, as I send it back to you, potentially is a game changer in that you get a very talented quarter at a discount price.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
We are seeing unbelievable temperature surges over the past couple of days. So I wanted to ask you this question to let the people know, how do we account for that in our handicapping? Two good pitchers on the mound, but you look at a place like Wrigley Field, let's just say, 20-mile-an-hour winds blowing out, 90-plus degree temperatures. Is it almost like you say to yourself, you just have to fade the environment and not worry about the pitchers? Because if we're hitting fly balls, they're going yard.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter and this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scott, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen.
I say this all the time. Don't worry about the first 5 innings. Don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games. Because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Keep it in the East, people. 2 New York teams in first place in the current standings. Why? Because the NL East now is held by the New York Mets, winners of 2 straight games, which is good enough because the Philadelphia Phillies have now lost 3 straight games and can't hit the baseball. A half-game lead for the New York Mets over the Philadelphia Phillies. The New York Mets sit with 48 wins, the Philadelphia Phillies at 47, and then there's the Braves, 10 games back of the New York Mets at 37 and 43, followed by the Marlins and the Nationals. It feels like it is a 2-team race throughout the summer, but it's hard to quit a team with expectations coming into the season that we're supposed to win the division with still, let's just say, look, we have July, August, and September to go. 3 full months to say, I'm giving up on the Atlanta Braves. But every time you want to buy back in on the Braves, they disappoint you, like 2 straight losses to the Mets to drop back even further. So let's start here. Mets and the Phillies throughout the summer. I said it even when the Phillies were having a bad streak and the Mets were having a good streak. These teams are going to flip-flop. They did flip-flop. When it looks like the Phillies had a chance to run away with the division, they gave it back to the New York Mets. I believe, Joe, this is going to be the Mets and the Phillies bouncing back and forth for the remaining parts of the summer, trying for NL East supremacy. Or do you feel, Joe, you have one side that you like decidedly better than the other between the Mets and the Phillies?
Again, it's who can stay healthiest, right? I still have I got question marks about both these teams, if we're being honest. I mean, the Mets have remained one of the best teams in Major League Baseball, but it's been a rough sledding here over the last couple of weeks. And Philadelphia, call me crazy. I don't know. We got Aaron Nola with injury issues, Bryce Harper with injury issues. I don't trust the bullpen of Philadelphia. Congratulations. They're the best of the East. But when it comes down to it, Do we really trust him when it matters come September, Donnie? I don't know that we do.
And look, it's going to be interesting. And again, sometimes you can't really judge a team till you see all the injuries run its course. And also, if you're going to pick up a hot bat, a hot pitcher, or a great bullpen arm that might be able to sway the rest of the summer. But these two teams do have flaws, apparently, because in baseball, the ebbs and flows will catch up. These teams have had some extreme ebbs and flows already in this Major League Baseball season, about halfway done. Let's continue to take a look at the Central Division. We'll head back to the American League, and it's those Detroit Tigers. Who would have thought, Joe? You take a look and say, who has one of the biggest leads? And actually, it is the biggest lead in division in baseball. It's the Tigers, 9.5 games better than the Cleveland Guardians at 51-31. And they're not even playing great baseball. They're 5-5 in the last 10, but it looks like they're going to walk away with this division. How about those Tigers at a minus 1,600 price to take down the AL Central?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy too, because Jackson Joe, one of their young arms there, is already gone. Tommy John surgery. Flaherty doesn't look like he can get out of his own way. He might be hurt here. So they're doing it with offense. They're doing it with a whole lot of timely hitting, taking advantage of some of the weaker teams on the schedule that they've had to play. But let's face it, they have been one of the best teams in the American League since the opening day. So, and they're also one of the highest scoring teams in the league. So they win the games they're supposed to win, Donnie. When you do that, yep, you take advantage of that schedule, you're going to rack up a whole lot of wins. And that's exactly what they've done here.
Yeah, they should coast. I mean, again, if they play 500 baseball the rest of the way, I don't think any team's even good enough to play great baseball to even sort of track them down. The Guardians are always that interesting team, but they just don't have it this year. They really don't. And the rest of that division certainly leaves a lot to be desired. Central Division shopping here now in the National League, and that's the Chicago Cubs. 3 games better than the Milwaukee Brewers, but you take a look at the Brewers, winners of 7 of their last 10 games, making a little bit of a dent in that Cubs lead. 48 wins for the Cubs, 45 for the Brewers. And how about the surprise Cardinals? Picked by many beat writers here to start this season to be the team that finishes in the last place in that division, playing decent baseball. Even though they lost 2 games in a row, still winners of 7 of their past 10 games. The Reds are a fun bunch. You have 4 teams in this division above 500. Can anybody track down the Cubs for you, or the Cubs at a minus 280 price still have some value for you there?
Well, I mean, offense has been the name of the game for them, but man, do I have a hard time trusting that bullpen and that starting rotation outside of Imanaga. I mean, who scares you there in a short series? That's the problem. Not to mention, I think Milwaukee is going absolutely nowhere anytime soon here. Plus, they just brought up their version of Paul Skeens, who might be better than Paul Skeens in Mizorowski. So, Milwaukee is not a team I think that you can sleep on. The Cubs are deserved favorites right now, but man, oh man, Milwaukee is looking pretty good here.
By the way, a topic that's been really hot with us over the past couple weeks, Joe, is the MVP markets and the price points here between the American League and the National League. Just a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Aaron Judge was sitting at a minus 20,000, price to be the MVP, which was absurd. It was basically the sports book saying, we're not going to take this down, but we don't want you to bet on Aaron Judge. And everybody knew that price appropriate was like, wait a second, you have 3.5 months left to go in the season. He gets injured. Like, who's laying that money to do that? But now you see Aaron Judge, he's down to a minus 950 price because of Cal Raleigh, obviously playing much better baseball there and can hang around, and the Yankees, will see where it goes. But that price was way off. Jeremy Payne is having a good season, 65-1. Bobby Witt at 120-1. We think it's a 2-man race, but still, I do believe Aaron Judge going to win it. But that's not really the focal point. I just wanted to use that, Joe, as background. You take a look at the National League now, and 2-3 weeks ago, Shohei Ohtani, plus 120, minus 120, minus 140. And we kept saying, both myself and Ben, and you've been on the show multiple times, like, Ohtani's the best player by far in the National League. Now he's going to start to pitch. Now he's hitting home runs once again. We're like, well, value's in the eye of the beholder. Do you want to tie up a minus 200, minus 300 price, Joe, and wait for like 6 to 8 months to get paid? Probably not. But even yesterday, Ohtani didn't have as good a price as Aaron Judge. That completely flipped. Today's price on Shohei Ohtani, Joe, minus 1,200 over PCA, Juan Soto, and Kyle Tucker. And I completely agree. Like, if Ohtani, I don't think he's going to ever go into a slump where he can't get out. Like, hey, Joe, 1 home run in the last 30 days. He's hitting 115, right? The extreme version. But now he's pitching. He's going to sooner than later be a starting pitcher and an MVP at the plate. And I say this now again, like minus 200, you might be getting a steal still at minus 1,200. But most people, Joe, they don't relate $1,200 to win $100 and wait till Christmas to get that payback.
Yeah, listen, they've been the favorites from before the season started. They're going to be the favorites right through the very end. It doesn't mean that there aren't other guys worth having a conversation about, but the reality is, and I don't get the whole voter fatigue thing. Either you are the best player in your league or you're not. There's really no in between. And Ohtani and Judge are still the two best players in Major League Baseball right now, period, hands down.
It's pretty crazy. And again, these markets fluctuate on a day-to-day basis, but it is incredible to see where Aaron Judge was. And it's like, well, how much is Judge going to come back? And just to give you another little update on what was happening yesterday, if you clicked on the parlay here at the FanDuel Sportsbook for Judge and Ohtani yesterday, it was still expensive, Joe, at a minus 357. It's like, okay, I'm going to tap $357 to win 100 for 6 to 8 months or whatever it is. You don't want to do that. Today, Joe, that's up to a minus 507. So again, that market fluctuation all the way through. But still keep in mind, like we have 3 full months. Injuries do happen in Major League Baseball. And do you want to say like, hey, I think Ohtani's going to win it and the worst case scenario happens, which you don't want to bet on that, but it is baseball and sometimes it does happen. But you're now looking at some of these guys start to separate themselves. And I would be like, honestly, Joe, like Pete Crow Armstrong, awesome player. He's not winning MVP, right?
No, over Ohtani, no, it's not happening. Again, injuries happen, anything is possible here, but right now it's not a market I think we're tying money up in unless you're 100% convinced that somebody is going to bust out the remainder of the year and overtake them. I just don't see that happening.
No, I don't see it happening either at that point here. But you know what else I see happening? We're going to get a guest on here, Tom Vecchio, coming up next. Good friend of the program here on the early line. Is it hockey season? It's always hockey season. Tonight is the NHL Draft. The Florida Panthers, the reigning Stanley Cup 2-time champions now. Who are they going to draft? Oh, maybe Tom Vecchio knows. The only thing I care about, who are the Flyers taking here in the first round? How about that news next?
As we know, it's just we enter every year and it's, is this the Ravens' time? Is this Lamar Jackson's turn? Can they get past the Chiefs and all of these other, stalwarts of the AFC? But it's always really about Kansas City when we're talking Baltimore.
This potentially, Adam, as I sent it back to you, potentially is a game changer in that you get a very talented quarter at a discount price.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We are seeing unbelievable temperature surges over the past couple of days. So I wanted to ask you this question to let the people know, how do we account for that in our handicapping? 2 good pitchers on the mound, but you look at a place like Wrigley Field, let's just say, 20-mile-an-hour winds blowing out, 90-plus degree temperatures. Is it almost like you say to yourself, you just have to fade the environment and not worry about the pitchers? Because if we're hitting fly balls, they're going yard.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Was the first time I think in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter and this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scotty, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen.
I say this all the time. Don't worry about the first 5 innings. Don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games. Because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, yeah. Hour number 2, we're getting down to the basics in every single sport. And you thought hockey season was done and we weren't going to talk hockey anymore. You were wrong. It's hot outside. Let's keep it cold in the studio. It's your boy Donnie Rightside, along with Joe Ranieri, and a host of the Pro Baseball Today show on Sunday. I can't remember the other guy that's with him, but here's Tom Vecchio. He's up on deck today on TEL. What's good, Tom?
I'm good to be here. Here on a Friday, we have the NHL Draft tonight. Things are kind of similar as the way we should see things shake out compared to what we just saw with the NBA. Like, we know who's going first. We probably know who's going second. After that, that's where things get interesting.
We're going to have some fun, Tom. And again, the NHL season just ended. Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers here. Team coming in second place. That's the Oilers for 2 straight years. Question marks on the future with some superstars here. But the superstars do begin today. So before we get into the players themselves, you see the draft positioning here. The Islanders with the #1 overall pick, followed by the Sharks, Blackhawks, Mammoth, Predators, Flyers, Bruins, Kraken, Sabres, and Ducks. Heading into the draft, like the chatter around, any moves on trading draft picks here or how the actual ping pong balls fell? Was it a surprise, Tom, that the Islanders got the #1 overall pick? Was that an upset? What happened here in the top 10 so far to get this draft positioning?
Yeah, so the Islanders did not have one of the best odds. They were 3.5%, super low. It's, again, kind of similar to what we saw with Dallas winning, like super low. They were in the lottery. And again, a low percentage, sub 5% is not zero. Like, a lot of people think, oh, you have a 1% chance. I would relate this to people who play poker. Like, if you play poker, you know that 1% is not zero. You still have a chance to be in the mix. So they got it. They will be taking Matthew Schaefer, the #1 pick, coming into the draft season. A lot of people are expecting James Higgins from Boston College to be the #1 pick. And Higgins now is expected to go 5th, 6th, 7th. So things have changed significantly. Schaefer, defenseman, going #1 to the Isles. That is set in stone.
Well, so why is everyone talking about James Higgins and being a lifelong Islander fan? And there was some questions as far as did the Islanders mortgage everything else to move up and get, like, what is the deal with him? And if Schaefer is that much of a lock, why are so many people hell-bent on James Higgins going to the Islanders?
So there's some rumors that the Islanders are trying to trade back into the top 10 with, some combination to get a second pick to then take James Higgins. And he had a great season at BC, played a line with Ryan Leonard and Gabe Perreault, who are both now NHLers for the Capitals and the Rangers, respectively. He won a gold medal with Team USA at the World Juniors. So he is a good player. He's a little small. And that's kind of the thing where we could be seeing some of these other players go ahead of him just because it's like the same thing in the NFL or the NBA. Like, NHL GMs prefer a center who's 6'1", 6'2", compared to a guy who's 5'10". And although he has some comps with a Jack Hughes, it's like, what's been the issue with Jack Hughes or a Mitch Marner? It's like, they're a little bit small. And teams just prefer the bigger body players.
We take a look here at the FanDuel Sportsbook because we do have odds up here on the draft tonight, and they are moving here, and rightfully so. It's what you get on draft day. #2, Michael Misa, listed here on the graphic at a -160 price to go #2 overall. He's been updated here, Tom, to a -220 now. If you are a betting man, which you are, who do you think goes #2 in the NHL draft today?
It's probably me. So this is what I said. It's similar to the NBA. Like, we know he's going #1. #2, it's like, he's probably going there. The odds aren't as heavy as we saw for Dylan Harper going to the Spurs, but like, he should be going there. This is where it gets interesting at 3-4. Anton Frundell should be going to the Blackhawks. And again, there were conversations of, do they like someone like James Higgins? But again, they need a bigger body to play alongside Connor Bedard. So the odds would suggest that he's going there. 3, 4, 5. Caleb Denoyer should be going 4th at -150 last time that I saw, 4th overall. Porter Martone at +170 is the betting favorite to go 5th. That's where I think he should be going. That's probably the best spot to have your first bet of the NHL draft.
So where are the surprises here, Tom? What do you think is going to happen if we know the top, Schaefer and Misa, let's say, any kind, that's going to be your top 2. Where does the, oh my, I can't believe this happened, where does that come in?
I think it starts with James Higgins, and I like him over 6.5 draft position. Over 6.5, it was +102 yesterday. It's up to -132. The issue is at 5-6 when we're looking at the Flyers potentially picking at 6, the Predators picking at 5. Roger McQueen, who could be taking in that spot 5, 6, 7 between Higgins, Brady Martin, and Roger McQueen. Roger McQueen had some back issues, a back injury. And again, he is that bigger body that the Flyers would prefer because Mitchkov is a little bit smaller. But again, what are we dealing with? The size versus the back issue versus the overall skill. You need someone to complement Mitch Coughlin. I really do think that would be either Brady Martin if he's available or Roger McQueen. So I will take Higgins falling despite being the presumptive number 1 pick coming into the season. I think he falls to 7 or 8.
Yeah, we'll get to some of those prop bets for Tom in just a little bit here. But again, most people that I'm hearing from all throughout the NHL, like we get Pete come on here, a couple other guys as well. And it's like, you know what? The draft really starts at number 6, and that's what the Philadelphia Flyers, like nobody cares 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. The Flyers are the epicenter of this draft. If I ask you right now, who are the Flyers going to pick tonight? Give me a name or two and who those type of players are for me.
So this year is like defined. It's like the year of the center. There's so many centers, and it's really good. Not a whole lot of wings. It's like centers and Ds, as we see generally teams. That's where they like to focus. So push comes to shove, I think it's going to be Brady Martin for the Flyers or Roger McQueen. It's going to be that combination of Predators taking one of them. The Flyers will take the other. That's where James Higgins drops. Porter Matone, I think, could jump up into that mix if a team wants to value a winger. I don't think that will necessarily happen, and we're not going to see too many goalies near the top, as we never often see them go that high.
So how does it work with the NHL draft, Tom? Because we saw in the NBA, anybody past the first round and the 6th is like, okay. Like, how deep is this draft?
It's okay overall. The thing that we see often is like a player that's projected to go like 8, 9, 10. Sometimes he falls into the later teens or early 20s because let's say he's a winger and everyone's prioritizing centers and defense. Just because from a skill perspective, he's ranked the 8th, 9th, 10th best player. If teams have positional needs, they will not draft him. It's like, we should just got to take a center. Even though he's the 10th best center, the 10th best player overall, we will pass on a guy who's 7th just because we have positional needs. So Higgins could be that guy dropping to 8, 9, 10. That's what I really think is going to happen.
You know what I want to happen tonight, gentlemen? I want to watch the New York Rangers draft pick have a Flyers jersey on tonight because there was a trade, but you can't announce it, and have the guy in the Flyers jersey up there take pictures with the Rangers general manager and ownership group. That would be fantastic, but it won't happen because it's not the stupid NBA. We'll talk next with Tom Vecchio.
What do you make of this price tag here, reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark?
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go with Cam Young at 30-1. I think it's a really nice course for him at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit, Michigan for him. Wyndham Clark at 36-1. And I also like Alex Noren at 60-1.
My Morency drunken Brit dart toss golf pick, which does win like 2-3 times a year, guys. Insanely enough. But I'm going to say Matt Fitzpatrick.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the #1 player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score at all 3 levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Another segment here with the great Tom Vecchio talking some ice advice here. And one of those advices that we need are next year, the Stanley Cup Finals here at the FanDuel Sportsbook. You can certainly bet on that. Now, Hurricanes still holding a 7-1 price here as the favorites, followed by the Panthers and the Oilers, Stars, Avalanche, Golden Knights, Lightning, Kings, Devils, and the Jets. Your thoughts here? And again, I don't really know if the draft is going, hey, Hurricanes had a great pick here. That means it should be a plus 650. Your thoughts going into next year and some of the Cup contenders you might be on your card?
Yeah, like you said, it's really not about the draft. It's more about free agency. And I can never get behind the Hurricanes at a 7-1 price. Like, as I've said before, I've said many times on this network, the Hurricanes are a really good team. They are, but they're not a great team. And until you prove they can get past the Panthers, they should never be booked as the favorite. I am absolutely not betting on the Oilers when they don't have a goalie. Why are we betting on that number at sub 10-1? I can talk myself into the Avs or the Vegas Golden Knights at that point. And I think going to one of those two would be the best. I would like to see the Avs a little bit longer. I'd like to get them closer to 10-1. Maybe they start off the season slightly slow as they did last year. You can get them at a 9-10-1 number. That's where I would start to look. The Kings, you can make the argument where they have a great number, but until they can prove they can get past the Oilers, I don't want to be betting on them either.
Yeah.
So you talked, Tom, about you liking the prop tonight with Hagen's over 6.5 in that spot there. You got anything in baseball you like tonight?
Yeah, let's turn to the White Sox hosting the Giants. Absolutely terrible series from the Giants getting swept by the Marlins. Let's go to this game over 8.5. Some of the spots have already moved to 9. Good hitting conditions, good wind blowing out. Donnie, as you know, Aaron Savali's on the mound for the White Sox. Aaron Savali is terrible. I love the move that the Brewers did. Oh, he's going to demand a trade. Sure, we'll trade you. We'll trade you to the White Sox. Brewers went up in my power rankings solely because of that move. Savali's terrible. Wind blowing out. Landon Raup on the other side, he's an okay pitcher, but I see this as a little bit of a bounce back spot for the Giants offense. Also, the White Sox have been kind of pesky as of late. They're putting up some runs. And again, Landon Raup isn't the best pitcher. Give me some runs time with the wind blowing out.
Yeah, Savali's last 30 days in Major League Baseball, 22 innings pitched. How about a nice spicy 5 xFIP number? Get that ball in the air. Get that ball into the seats. Let's score some runs for Tom Vecchio here. NBA Draft, we saw nights 1 and nights 2. They're down. Yeah. The season is ready for next year as we wait for free agency and also the summer months here and summer league action. But the NBA rookies, they will be on display. Currently sitting on the FanDuel Sportsbook right now as a favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Of course, it's Cooper Flagg at minus 190. But, Tom, is there value anywhere else outside of Cooper Flagg?
You know, there's a lot of different ways to go about this. I almost want to say that if Zion doesn't stay healthy, Derek Queen could see a lot of minutes, right? A lot of minutes, a lot of production. Actually, one of my favorite bets, though, would be kind of in a roundabout way to, in theory, bet on Cooper Flagg. There are Cooper Flagg specials on FanDuel. One of them is for Flagg to record 40-plus points in any game at plus 300. You know, if he's putting up that performance, he's probably on his way to a Rookie of the Year type of season. And obviously, it's just one game. One game isn't going to win him Rookie of the Year. But I'd rather have a little bit of that plus money rather than laying a minus 170, minus 190 price, wherever it might be. So I don't mind a Derek Queen. I think he's in a spot for a lot of production. We know that Murray is still out for DeJounte Murray is still out for the Pelicans. They traded away C.J. McCollum. Zion's going to be on the court for half the games. Give me McQueen. Excuse me, McQueen. Queen, not McQueen. That's Roger McQueen from the NHL. Like Queen from the NBA rookies.
On the mind.
Yeah, that was impressive over there. Tom, you were part of the broadcast here for the NBA draft. What was your biggest surprise?
Biggest surprise was the Utah Jazz getting Ace Bailey. We know that a lot of different talks about him, not one of his preferred landing spots, but I do think there's a big path forward to him seeing a whole lot of volume. Don't really like what the Suns did with the trades and then trading for Mark Williams, then drafting Mal Watch. They have a ton of centers. We're not seeing how that plays out. And then the Nets, the hometown Nets with their 5 picks, a lot of questions with who they picked, when they picked them. It's like a clear development plan that we have to see how these picks pan out over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, because at face value, it doesn't look great.
Yeah, we'll see how everything goes there. But by the way, the 2026 NBA championship odds, the Thunder certainly a heavy favorite at plus 220 here. Should we even watch next year at that price point? It's the Thunder. Why even pay attention? They're automatically the champions.
Yeah, still, the Wolves or the Lakers, I think, are the most interesting at that point. You missed the boat on the Magic. You missed the boat on the Rockets. I wouldn't be betting on those. Give me a long shot on the Wolves or the Lakers. I think they make some moves, and the Wolves specifically need to bring in another scorer.
There's Tom Vecchio helping us out on a Friday morning here with some prop bets to get down on. Let's root for some runs tonight, and also a little NHL action as well. It's the way to do it here. By the way, we're going to talk a little Bernie Mac next in hour number 3. Why is that? Come on back and find out.